The first night I heard it, I thought it was rats. Just small scratching behind the drywall, slow, deliberate, like something with fingers instead of paws. I hit the wall with my fist, and the sound stopped. But later that night, it came back, closer. By the third night, it wasn't scratching anymore. It was whispering, a faint, wet murmur that crawled through the walls and into my ears. I pressed my head against the plaster, holding my breath. The voice was low, gurgling, like someone trying to speak through a mouth full of blood. It said my name. I moved out of my bedroom and slept on the couch, lights on. But even then, around 3:12 a.m., the whispering started again, closer this time, behind the couch. The air grew cold. The smell of rot filled the room like something dead was breathing behind the walls. I called an exterminator the next morning. He tore open a section of the drywall and froze. His flashlight trembled in his hand. There were no rats, no pipes, just a narrow, hollow space, deep and dark, running behind every wall of the house. And deep inside that space, something moved. He dropped his light. When I picked it up and aimed it inside, I saw it for the first time. A hand, long, gray, the skin stretched tight over bone, pulling itself away into the dark. I moved out that same day, but that night at the motel I woke to the sound of scratching again, not in the walls this time, from the floor. I looked down and saw the carpet bulging. Something was crawling underneath it, heading straight toward the bed. I backed into the corner, shaking. The bulge stopped at the foot of the mattress. Then a voice came from under the bed, muffled, broken, exactly like before. "Why did you leave me behind?" I ran. I didn't even grab my shoes. That was 3 nights ago. Now I'm staying at a friend's place. They think I'm paranoid. They laugh when I tell them not to sleep near the walls. But last night, I woke up to the sound of them crying in the next room. I ran in and found them standing at the wall, forehead pressed against the plaster, whispering softly. I pulled them away, screaming, but they didn't even blink. Their voice cracked as they said, "It wants to come through." I looked closer. The wall was pulsing, breathing, like something alive was pressing from the other side. Then I saw a fingertip push through the paint, then another, then a mouth. It smiled and whispered my name again. I tried to leave the house that morning, but when I looked out the front door, I froze. Across the street, every house was dark, windows blacked out, every curtain drawn, and from behind those windows, faintly, tapping, hundreds of little taps in perfect unison. As I stood there one by one, every light on my street flickered on, but the light didn't look right. It wasn't yellow, it was red, dimension, pulsing, like it was bleeding through the glass. Then the whisper came again, not from the walls this time, from everywhere. "Let me in." I slammed the door shut, heart hammering. My phone was dead. The clocks had stopped. The house was silent except for the faint creaking of the floorboards, slow and rhythmic, as if someone was pacing beneath me. I pressed my ear to the floor and heard breathing. I ran outside and didn't stop until the wood swallowed me. It was freezing. Every tree looked the same, tall and narrow like fingers clawing at the sky. But no matter how far I ran, I could still hear it following, the whispering echoing between the trees. At some point, I found an old cabin. I barricaded the door and sat in the corner, watching the single window. Hours passed. Then something pressed against the glass. Not a hand this time. A face, pale, wet, and smiling too wide. Its eyes locked on mine, and I realized with horror it was wearing my face. Not exactly, but close enough. Its mouth moved, and my own voice came out. You can't run from the walls. The window cracked. I stumbled back as the wood around me began to groan, the sound of nails bending, wood splitting. The walls here were breathing too. It wasn't just my house. It was everywhere. I don't know what it is, if it's alive or if the world itself is sick, but I can feel it spreading, every sound, every whisper, every pulse. It's underneath the skin of the world, crawling just out of sight, pressing against the thin layer of everything we think is safe. The scratching is back now, behind me, slow, deliberate, like fingernails tracing my spine. I can see a bulge forming in the cabin wall. Something is pushing through. I'm writing this as fast as I can. My phone turned on for a moment, long enough to upload this. The light's dimming now. The wood is cracking open. It's whispering again. It's saying it wants out. If you're hearing scratching in your walls tonight, don't look. Don't listen. And whatever you do, don't answer it.